Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T-54. It's a Tier 9 Soviet medium tank. It's located on the north spawn of Prokhorovka, and this one is under the command of SlyMeerkat, and alongside him is his partner, Owen Enraged, in the T-54 as well. Both got 2 marks of excellence on the barrel. Game on. Well, they're armed with the 100mm, which is capable of 320 alpha, and is capable of doing 201mm with standard ammo, and with the Prem ammo it will go up to 330, so very good penetration with your top ammo. Now, depending on which version you've actually got, because there's 2 different guns at the top, you can either have the normal one, which is the D10T, or you can have the D54. And one of them has good DPM, that's the D10, and the other one has good accuracy, that's the D54. So all depends on which one you've got as to what characteristic you get. You either get good DPM or you just get good accuracy, but you can't get both, I'm afraid. Now, this tank is the most heavily produced tank of all time. They manufactured over 100,000 of this tank. They manufactured them in the Soviet Union, in China, in Czechoslovakia, and in Poland. And it was only replaced when they finally made the T-62, the T-64, and then the T-72. And of course it was the T-72 which they mass manufactured afterwards. But it's still the most mass-produced tank in history, and it's also very manoeuvrable, reasonably fast, 56 kilometers an hour, and got very good armour indeed. In fact, very bouncy armour. Okay, both guys are trying to get their 3rd mark, and they're working the centre line. Now, it doesn't have very good gun depression, this tank. Actually, it's only 5 degrees, or 6 degrees if you get the different gun, but it's actually a very good tank in terms of being able to get a shot on quickly and then pull back. Oh, he didn't. That proved me wrong there, because he just got hit by an E50. There's an A phase 1 coming up the hill. It looks like the enemy is actually trying to capture the east side of the map. Now, it does have some faults, this tank. Obviously, those faults will become obvious when we show you the armour profile and where all the modules are. It does get prone to being ammo racked, and also to being punctured in the fuel tanks, mainly because they put the fuel tanks and ammo rack right up front next to the driver. Not the best place to put them. What it does have, though, is a very nicely rounded turret, which actually helps it to bounce rounds. The original T-54 first prototype had slab-sided turrets, and that was basically a hangover from the T-34 stroke T-44, because both those had slab-sided turrets. But no, after the IS-3 they rounded the turret, and it made it very, very difficult to pen, mainly because the rounds would bounce off the nicely cast turrets. Nice shot on the T-95, and he's gone. Now, it was this tank actually that inspired the British to come up with the L7 105mm gun, which has dominated, or did dominate, tanks for a long time, and also for the Americans to use come up with the M60 pattern to counter this tank, because, well, they were producing so many of these in Europe that the Americans and the British were very scared that you might see entire herds of these things migrating across the fields of Europe through the Fulda Gap and onto the coast. Well, Owen Enraged decided to go way down south, but of course that A phase 1 is kind of blocking us from going any further, and there's a crampon over the other side. Going for the E50. No, changed his mind. A phase 1 takes a round from Owen Enraged. Now the question is, can he get a shot on without getting pre-spotted by that A phase 1? Pops up. Nice one, gets into the side of the turret, gets a high roll. Spotting enemy tanks down the south. Oh, nice shot into the back chat. 155-55. And he's gone. Oh, a Cranbon hits us with a 120mm. That's expensive. So he's down to 1/3 of his hit points now. But both Omen Enraged and SlyMeerkat are making the best that they can. They've got to try and maximise the damage if they're going to keep up their averages and get that third mark. There's the E50 again. Go for the turret. I think he's got the one which has got good accuracy, the D-54, but I can't be absolutely sure. Okay, trying to get the cramp on now. Side of the turret, yes! Oh, the IS-7 nearly collected that shell by driving straight in front of Sly just as he was getting ready to shoot. Nice accuracy again. The Cranbon takes another round in the high roll and he's out the game. And in fact, so Omen Enraged should have got the kill. In fact, he's got 2 kills now. Okay, E50 over the far side. It's amazing because the enemy basically captured the east side of the map, but because Omen Enraged and SlyMeerkat took the battle to them, they've been forced to come back and now they're hemorrhaging tanks. They've only got 2 left. A Brask and a 53 TP. We don't know where the Brask is. Oh no, we do now. He's in the village and Omen Enraged is going after him. Now remember, he's got a 105mm gun, but he's gone down. Now where is that 53 TP? He was last seen in this vicinity. There he is. Okay, well, ouch, took a round in the tracks, but that's going to hurt the 53 TP because he's got a long reload. And so Sly can sit here and punch 2 rounds in for 1 round by the 53 TP. And he fires another one, but this time round he does penetrate us. And now we're down to minimal hit points. And Omen Enraged comes over the railway line to try and help us. And oh, and there's the kill shot. And it's the Cries of the Cave takes the winning shot of the game. But nice work by the platoon. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was the second class tanker for SlyMeerkat and the T-54, but he did get a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage. He got his 3rd mark of excellence from that game, as well as a fire effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, and a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. His win rate from that game was 3,528, which is Super Unicum standard. So let's have a look at the team score and we'll see where he was. Well, finally, he actually did get the highest damage in the game, but he didn't get 20%, and that's why he didn't get the high caliber. 3,939 hit points went to Sly. 3,937, 2 hit points less, went to Omen Enraged. So the pair of them, between them, were actually really racking up the damage on the enemy. And Omen Enraged did get a Confederate out of that game as well. The 3rd highest damage in the game actually went to the AE Phase 1 on their team with 3,103. So these 3 between them were actually doing most of the damage during the game. When it came to kills, well, the highest number of kills was 2 kills. And we've got Omen Enraged getting 2. We've got the A Phase 1, the CDA, the Char Future for the M53, M55, the IS-7 and the EBR. But I'm afraid Sly didn't get any kills at all. He just racked up damage. And when it came to base XP, yeah, it's Omen Enraged who did the best in this one. He got 1,230. 948 went to the A Phase 1, and Sly managed to pick up 944, but at least he was consistent on his damage. He fired 19 rounds in the game, got 13 direct hits on the enemy and 12 penetrations. It's a very good gun, this 100mm. 3,939 hit points, of which 2,022 were at more than 300 meters. So you can see a lot of long range shooting, but I think actually that's why I thought that he actually had the accuracy from the D-54 rather than the D-10, which is actually the higher DPM gun. He did 5 hits from the enemy. 3 of those were penetrations and 1 non-penetration, and 1 hit by way of splash as well from the Arty. Yes, GWE100 trying to have a go at him as well. He damaged, he spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 6 of the enemy, didn't get any kills, but he got 1,291 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 65,714 credits from the battle, but after repair, ammunition resupply and consumables, and yes, he did use a lot of those premium rounds, he ended up with 32,344 credits loss. 1,416 XP, no multipliers, but that's all the experience points he took away. So, the T-54. Let's have a look at the armor profile for this tank. Oh, that's not what I expected you to see. That's what I want to see. Okay, now this tank does have rather good armor, whichever way you look at it, even from the front here. 120 on the lower plate, impacted armor, but its effective armor is 244. You're seeing there, it's a lot of armor for the lower plate. The upper plate, 120 millimeters of impacted armor, but the effective armor is about 177 to 185, depending on where you look. In fact, it goes up as high as 195 around about where the driver is, because you see where the driver's ports are on the right hand side. The turret is incredibly difficult to get through because, as I said, it's very thick cast metal, 24 centimeters thick. And you're getting effective armor with the rounding and everything of about 240 to 270 millimeters. And of course, the more that it's angled, the more the effective armor goes up. You can see here the side of the turrets, you're almost certainly going to get a bounce, but you're getting effective armor around about the 350 mark. You can get through the cupola if you can get through 13 centimeters of armor, 130 millimeters. The effective armor up there is only 150 or thereabouts, and there's two cupolas, one on either side. This will be the one for the gunner just there, and the TC will be just behind him. The sides of this tank are only 18 millimeters on the sides. That was an improvement they made to the tank after they did the first production run. They realised they needed to beef up the armour on the sides of the vehicle, so it went up to 80 millimeters. And if you can see around the back, you can see there's only 65 millimeters on the rear of the turret, so you can penetrate the rear of the turret if you can put a round through there. You can see from this angle it's only 57 millimeters at some points around here. So you should be able to pen the rear of the turret. The rear of the actual tank itself, 45 millimeters, coming up to around about 47. So yeah, the rear of the tank can easily be penetrated. The rear of the turret can be penetrated, but anywhere around the front, and if he angles, you can see it pops the effective armor up considerably. Let's have a quick look at the modules. Okay, I did say that there's a problem because the driver is sitting right next to a big fuel tank and also an ammo rack next to that, just behind that. So if anyone penetrates the front of this tank, you're either going to get a fire or the thing's going to blow up. You see you've got the driver right next door to the tank. We've got an ammo rack behind him as well, and another one on the other side of the tank. And the gunner is behind the driver, and the tank commander is just behind him, as I mentioned before. In the bustle we've got the radio, and on the other side of the tank we've got the ready rack, and you can see the loader on the left hand side of the tank as well. There's another fuel tank before you get to the engine, but the engine's not sandwiched between the fuel tanks at all in this one, and the transmission is at the rear, not at the front of the tank. You normally saw the transmission up front with a drive going through the vehicle right up to the front. Not on this one. The drive is actually at the rear behind the engine, so you're more than likely going to cause, if you get shot in the rear, it's going to cause a gearbox problem rather than, well, it will damage the engine, but there's nothing to protect the driver from frontal hits, really, unfortunately. So you either kill the driver, set fire to the tank, or get an ammo rack, and this is what this tank is prone to getting, I'm afraid. Lots and lots of fires or ammo racks. So congratulations to SlyMeerkat for getting his third mark of excellence. The T-54 is a really good tank, actually. It's one that a lot of people, when they're practicing on the T-54 first prototype, wonder what's the T-54 going to be like. Well, it's a lot of fun. It's difficult because you've got no gun depression, but that gun is really good, that 100mm, and it has got decent pen, so you can penetrate tier 10 tanks, no problem at all. As you saw, he was actually getting shots on the Cramvan and penetrating the turret. So yes, you're going to have a lot of fun with the T-54. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, And please do remember that we're giving all of the revenue from this channel to the Red Cross Ukraine appeal to help the refugees coming out of the war. And so by watching as many of our videos as you do, you're actually helping, because the money from that, the revenue, is then going to the charity, and we're giving proof of that on the Facebook page of What Arty Noobs and also the What Noobs page, so everyone can check and make sure that the donations are being made and that your video views are actually having an effect. Thanks for watching.